Hi guys, welcome back to What If Beerus Woke Up Early. In the last part we saw, well, what sort of was the Buu saga. It didn't really happen. In fact, the main event of the last part was the rematch between Goku and Beerus, where the Saiyan pulled out everything he had learned over the last 7 years, and even pulled out his new Super Saiyan Blue form. He managed to bring the fight to a very close ring out, however, he still lost. Even Vegeta in his Super Saiyan Blue state couldn't match the might of Beerus. But the god was happy with each fight he had, so he heads off home, not affecting anything on Earth. He's actually gone home to train, and once he's completed a year of training, he tells Whis to go collect both Saiyans, thinking that one could possibly be a good option for a God of Destruction candidate. With Videl also becoming champion in the last part, let's see how Earth handles things now. A year has passed since the tournament, as the Saiyans have kept up with their training, including Gohan, who, while also being a part-time scholar, has also taken up the role of training Earth's new champion, meaning he gets to spend time working as a personal trainer for Videl and spending a lot of time with his girlfriend. So Gohan keeps up training here and doesn't lose any power, in fact gets stronger. Gohan begins to show Videl more advanced things, getting her more understanding of God Ki and Ki itself. As for Goku and Vegeta, they work on understanding their God Ki better, and are trying to find ways to improve their power. Goku had already created the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken form, as he works towards mastering it, while Vegeta finds his own path, hoping to find something stronger, if not the same strength as the Blue Kaioken. Eventually Goku and Vegeta receive a visitor in the form of Whis, who arrives after a year and a few months have passed since the tournament. Of course, Goku and Vegeta want a rematch with Beerus, however Whis explains how the god is asleep currently, and won't be waking for a while. Of course the pair are bummed, but Whis extends an offer. He explains that at the request of Lord Beerus, he would like to train the pair. Of course this leads to both Goku and Vegeta learning Whis is Beerus' master, and learning how Beerus wants them to be trained to be motivation for him to keep up with his training, while also secretly searching for a new God of Destruction replacement. But for now, this is just a little bit of an idea. Of course the pair agree and head off to train with Whis years ahead of their counterparts. And thanks to them being actually pretty far along anyway, with God Ki and whatnot, through what they've taught themselves, Whis only really has to refine what they've learned, and also helps get a better understanding of the God Ki and the God forms they are using. But it doesn't take them too long, so Whis starts training them in fairly different ways, very soon learning what the Saiyans are like. Once getting a good idea of who the Saiyans are, he realises that Goku, the one who Beerus would like to be the next God of Destruction candidate, is the one who won't accept it. It just doesn't suit him, and he also probably would suit something else a bit more. But Whis can't really start training him in this until Beerus wakes up. As for Vegeta, however, he brings it up to the Saiyan Prince, secretively, away from Goku, and explains that it would be him learning most of the techniques of a God of Destruction, things that Beerus could teach him. At first Vegeta is apprehensive, but Whis tells Vegeta to think about it. It would suit him very well. And of course the Prince would agree to learn, and would at least think about it. And like that, 2 years pass. Eventually Beerus wakes up, learning of the Saiyans being on his planet, and seeing their growth. He can't believe their progress, and is so thankful he took that year to train. With Whis sharing how Vegeta is actually willing to become a candidate for, the next God of Destruction, Beerus is interested, as he starts telling Vegeta he can start watching him train. And here, much like in the most recent manga chapters, we see both Goku and Vegeta splitting off to do their own thing. So here we see Vegeta starting to learn the idea of being a God of Destruction candidate. Things like the Kai, and also the fundamentals for Ultra Ego are slowly developed for Vegeta. As for Goku, he starts learning UI much earlier on than in canon. We saw that the Saiyan had an aptitude for it, and believed he had the potential to make the form work. So the two continue their training. Now, time begins to pass, and eventually Champa would come to Beerus' planet. The idea of a tournament would come around, and I'm going to be honest, this shit is a breeze. So let's cover it briefly. The team would be Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Videl and Gohan, Gohan, who is still only a part-time scholar, decided to give the meeting a skip. Videl made it because she has grown incredibly strong, so it also just worked out well. Also, Videl and Gohan got married and have had Pan. So the tournament would start like normal up until the point where Piccolo fights Frost, where Piccolo would show off some of the abilities he's learned through God Ki over the years, maybe even pulling out his own Super Saiyan God-like state, and he's easily able to overpower Frost, allowing him to breeze through most of the tournament up until Hit. And once he loses to Hit, Vegeta steps in. Here, right there, is a huge change. Vegeta's going into this fight completely clean, hadn't taken a hit, hasn't wasted any energy. He also has got about 10 to 12, possibly 14 years on his canon self when it comes to God Ki, and also is far ahead of his canon counterpart with God of Destruction training. What do I mean by this? Well, Vegeta has been trained by Beerus many years before he should have been. So, Vegeta is in a position where he is miles ahead of his canon counterpart, and also now is pretty much a fully initiated God of Destruction candidate, even having the earring and everything. So, when Beerus sends Vegeta into the tournament grounds, he tells his student to go all out and make it a good show, just to show the difference between the two universes. Vegeta understands what his master's saying, giving a sly nod before entering the arena and showing off Ultra Ego. This power is easily able to defeat Hit, and it's not even a warm-up match for Vegeta, as he's declared the winner, and things end pretty normally. Goku meets Zeno, and thanks to being more equipped to the realm of gods, he actually understands who Zeno is, but isn't afraid of him, befriends him much like normal. Beerus would still wish for Universes 6 Earth to come back. Now, with that being said, we'll line up to the next arc, which is the Goku Black arc. Well, it would be, if Trunks' changes in the past hadn't taken a drastic turn. You see, he has a god form here, so when it comes to defeating the androids and Cell, it's hardly a workout, with him then going off to train with Shin years later. And to be fair, this training is slightly pointless. However, during this time he learns to master Super Saiyan God, and he also gets noticeably stronger thanks to being able to wield the Z-Sword. And when it comes to the fighting Deborah and Babidi, he defeats them both with ease, meaning Shin and Kibito live. Finally, Goku Black would arrive, and here, Black has to play smarter. You see, with Trunks around and Shin and Kibito alive, it means that Beerus is still active. He knows he needs to kill Shin to destroy Beerus. So, he waits until he sees Trunks leave the Kai world one day, and that's when he attacks, rushing in, trying to kill Shin. Kibito catches on with what's going on, and takes the hit for Shin, getting killed in the process. He screams out for the younger Kai to escape while he's got the chance. Shin does so, and Kai Kai's to Earth, next to Trunks. He scaredly explains what's happened in the Kai world, and Trunks, hearing this, powers up to Super Saiyan God and tells Shin to take him back there. The Kai nods as Trunks appears in the world of Kais, seeing Black having just killed Kibito. Trunks screams out to Black and then realises who it is. He's confused but doesn't have any time to waste, rushing towards Goku Black to break out into a fight. And even though Trunks is miles ahead of his canon counterpart, so is Black. He's stolen a body from Goku, which is years ahead of where it should be. Even though he hasn't got full access to Goku's power, he's able to fight off God Trunks, but it's a very hard fight for Black. Trunks can also tell that Black is progressively getting stronger as the battle goes on. It seems like throughout this fight he's learning more and more about this body. While this fight goes on, Shin watches and realises that Black has a time ring. He shouts out, wondering why he has it, and actually realises that Black's ki is familiar. He's Zamasu, and the Kai's impressed that he managed to figure that out, as Zamasu reveals his whole master plan, even revealing himself, well, his other self, which is immortal. Trunks is now in a bit of danger. With Black and Zamasu there, he's able to hold them off, but the immortal is causing a lot more trouble than Trunks was expecting, even though Zamasu is so much weaker than him. Trunks continues to fight, but he's losing ground slowly, as he's running out of energy, having to waste some energy on dealing with Black, and also having to try and keep Zamasu out of the fight. This is partially working, but it's not very effective, whereas Zamasu and Black are in perfect sync. They're the same person, so they fight exactly the same. Shin feels powerless watching from the sides, but he can't get involved, because if he gets involved and dies, Beerus will be gone. And that's when it clicks. Beerus, that's who he needs. Shin shouts out for Trunks to hold off the Kais for a little bit longer. Trunks shouts out, confused at where Shin's going, but before he can ask too many questions, he's gone. A few seconds pass, and Shin soon arrives back with a very sleepy looking cat, who scratches his eyes, asking why he's been brought here, screaming at Shin for waking him up from his sleep. Shin quickly explains what's going on, and this gets the cat's attention, as he looks up and sees a mortal using God Key, and what he can tell to be two Kais, one having stole a body of a mortal, but an incredibly strong mortal, whereas the other has stayed himself, but also seems to have made himself immortal using the Super Dragon Balls. Beerus isn't too sure what's going on, but Trunks has definitely caught his attention, and he wants to deal with these two evil Kais fast. He quickly Hakai's Goku Black, killing him there and then tells Shin to go grab Whis and bring him here, telling him to bring a sword. Shin's confused, but Beerus shouts at the Kai, who quickly follows along. Beerus steps up and asks Trunks how he got a godly key. Trunks gives a brief explanation of how he travelled to the past, and it was a ritual done to give him a power boost he needed quickly. Beerus is annoyed that this mortal's time travelled, but is more interested in the god form right now, so doesn't think too much of it. Eventually Shin arrives back with Whis, who is holding a sword. Beerus shouts for the angel to throw it up to him, which he does so, as Beerus seals away Zamasu in the Z-sword. Well, a Z-sword-like thing. Trunks and Shin realise that sword's kind of like the Z-sword, and are wondering if there's someone sealed in that sword. Trunks is confused, powering down from the god state, but before he can even ask any questions, Beerus screams out, looking towards Trunks, truly lecturing him about time travel, saying how, if he knew any better, he would destroy this mortal, right here and now. Trunks audibly gulps, before Beerus says, "I'll do you a deal, Earthling. If you can give me a good battle, not only will I not kill you, I'll spare that planet of yours. But if you don't, well, let's say you'll be space dust when I'm done with you. And that includes that precious Earth of yours." Trunks is nervous, but won't let Beerus threaten Earth. As he powers up to Super Saiyan God, Beerus smiles. Trunks makes the first move, slashing down towards Beerus using the Z-sword. Beerus realises what that sword is, as he tries desperately not to block and break the sword. The battle rages on for a few minutes, and this is a good battle. Trunks is probably around the same power as a Super Saiyan God Goku from the Tournament of Destroyers saga, from canon, not this timeline. Very different strengths in that case. As Trunks gives everything he has to entertain Beerus, eventually Beerus gets bored. Having had a good fight, he knocks Trunks out. Shin panics, thinking Trunks is going to be destroyed, but Beerus just says how he's impressed with the Saiyan's power, and when he wakes up, tell him to keep up the training. He'll be back in a few years for a rematch, and he expects a much better fight then. Shin nods his head nervously, as Beerus and Whis head back to Beerus' planet. And for this part, that's where I'm leaving it. I've covered the future timeline, and I've covered the present one. I don't know if you can tell, but this timeline's really difficult to make hard. After all, they got God Key super early, meaning that everyone has plenty of time to develop it and get stronger. I'll try and make the next part a bit more interesting, but with that said, I hope you'll enjoy. Have a good day or a great night.